start the council meeting for Tuesday, November 10th, 2020 at 7:02 p.m. Putting that down. Our first order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. So flags here, if you want to follow with me. I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
America,
And to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
and
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. Thank you. Okay. That's out of there. Next item of business is roll call. Mr. Antel,
present.
Mr. Bartko,
Here.
Mrs. Miller,
Here.
Mrs. Davis, absent, Mr. Fenn,
Here.
and Mr. Polyak.
Here.
All right. Next
Mr.
order
Mayor,
of
you
business
also
is the
have,
approval-
You have 2 members of the public in attendance as well.
Okay,
If we could just remind the public to use the Q&A if they would like to be recognized in the public participation section of the meeting, that'd be great for them to.
which is open forum, which is after we approve tonight's agenda, then we go to open forum, so. we can do that. All right, so the next item of business is the approval of the agenda, and we need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented to this council.
I'll make
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Okay, Mrs. Miller, Mr. Antel. Could we have a roll call vote, please, Mrs. Klingenberg?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Antel,
Yes.
Mr. Bartko,
Yes.
Mr. Fenn,
Yes.
and Mr. Polyak.
Yes.
Okay. Tonight's agenda has been adopted by motion. All right, so now our next order of business is the open forum. And we could take a little time if people are not connected. Is there anyone who is interested in speaking?
Not at this time. There's no one on the Q&A requesting to be recognized in the open forum.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Polyak. All right, so maybe we'll go into the next motion and we'll see if anybody else has clicked in. If not, we'll just move on with the meeting. So next order of business is we need a motion to, and you should have all 3 of these minutes. I'm gonna read the minutes. Minutes of the 10/13/2020 meeting, council meeting. Minutes of the 10/27/2020 meeting, which was council and finance, and the minutes of the public hearing, which was 10/27/2020, before the council and the finance meeting. We have all 3 of those. We can adopt by one motion. You should have all 3 of those in front of you. So anyone that has any corrections or additions?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 10:13, 10:27, and the public hearing of 10:27 as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Polyak. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Mrs. Klingenberg.
Mr. Polyak,
Yes.
Mr. Antel,
Yes.
Mr. Bartko,
Yes.
Mr. Fenn,
Yes.
and Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Okay. Motion adopted. We'll move on to the ordinances of the evening. We have one ordinance. And, is that right? Yeah. Yes, it is. Let me get that. It is an ordinance accepting and placing funds for 2 COVID-19 funds within the permanent appropriations and declaring an emergency. To consider this, we would first need to suspend the 3 reading rule.
I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Do we have a second?
And I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Bartko. All right. We have a motion and second. Mrs. Klingenberg.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Bartko,
Yes.
Mr. Poliak,
Yes.
Mr. Fenn,
yes,
and Mr. Antel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion is carried to suspend the three reading rule. We would now ask for a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-11-26. So we
I
may
so
discuss
move.
it. Okay, Mr. Fenn,
I'll second.
Mr. Antel. All right, any discussion on this?
If I can just add a couple of notes, this 47,000 and 37,000 are additional monies that we have received. We have received approximately $175,000. This is going for the payroll for the police department, and we are to spend it all, and I don't think that'll be a problem by the end of November, around the end of November. So that's the reason why you're having another piece of legislation.
Okay. Thank you. And I might just add that at the weekly meetings that I have with the county executive, they've been encouraging all the communities to look at that and make sure that they have needs, they should spend that. That money is there for them to use for the COVID. So, and that is going on. So thank you for the information, Mrs. Klingenberg. Any other questions on this? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion by Mr. Fenn, seconded by Mr. Antel. Roll call.
Mr. Fenn,
yes,
Mr. Antel,
Yes.
Mr. Bartow,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
and Mr. Poliak.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries, becomes ordinance 2020-11-26. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to resolutions for the evening. First resolution, resolution 2020-11-46. And that is a resolution for the Village of Boston Heights, Ohio, to adopt the Summit County Solid Waste Management Plan of the Summit Akron Solid Waste Management Authority, DBA, also known as REWorks, and declaring an emergency. To consider this, we first need to suspend the three reading rule. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to suspend the three reading rule.
Thank you,
And I'll
Mr.
second it.
Thank you, Mr. Barco. Roll call, please, Mrs.
Mr.
Klingenberg.
Antel,
Yes.
Mr. Bartko,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Fenn,
yes,
and Mr. Poliak.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We now ask for a motion to adopt resolution 2020-11-46.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Barco. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fenn, okay. Any discussion on this?
The only thing I'd add is the actual plan is over an inch thick, and I have a copy of it here, but it's also available on their website if you'd like to look at it.
On REWorks, right,
Right.
website.
So what is the website? You just would website.com or how to,
No, you'd go to,
SummitReworks.com. I think that's it.
mhm. Okay,
So to be stupid, what is this about? Is this
what this is the plan that Summit County has for
Right.
recycling.
Okay.
So every so often, it has to be renewed with the state. And in order to do that, all the communities that are involved with the plan pass a resolution so that everyone knows in Summit County that we're backing this plan. And that way the state knows that everyone's on board with recycling in Summit County.
But this doesn't have to do with the recycling bin that we put out every week.
It does.
It does do that.
Yes, because that is part of the charge that REWorks has, is to get as many people in Summit County to recycle so that material that can be recycled isn't going to the landfill. We're saving landfill space, and we're recycling and making more items out of the same product that can be reused. That's why it's called Reworks. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes?
Is there anything significantly different from what we've done in the past that you know of
With
that's,
this plan? No.
yes, with
This plan is
with,
done like every 5 years or so. So we don't do this every year. It's a year that we pass this time. Mrs. Klingenberg, do you recall how long this is good for?
That's a good question, because I wrote down, I took what you said as 5 years so that I could double check on it. 'Cause
Okay, well, I don't know.
I want to make sure.
Thank
It's-
I mean, is there anything that you can point to that you think is significant? Is there anything they're asking that's significantly different than what we've done in the past?
Not really, no.
Okay, thank you.
This is all, no, the plan is all the same. They try to do as much as they can with this. And as a result,
Okay,
landfill quantities, which they make money on, the money they're making is going down because people are recycling. And that's a good thing.
And truthfully, I didn't
landfill.
read this. I
Yeah,
didn't,
you know what, I think every year we may renew this plan, but the one, they're getting this done early this year, so that the one they have to send to the state, I think, is like every 5 years or so that they renew that. So, okay, are there any other questions? Seeing and hearing none, we have a motion made by Mr. Barco, seconded by Mr. Fenn. Roll call, Mrs. Klinger.
Mr. Barco,
Yes.
Mr. Fenn,
Yes.
Mr. Antel,
Yes.
Mr. Poliak,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
yes,
Thank you.
Okay. Motion carries, becomes resolution 2020-11-46. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the final resolution of the evening, and that is resolution 2020-11-47. This is a resolution approving temporary appropriations for 2021 and declaring an emergency. In order to consider this, we first need a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule.
I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Fenn.
And I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Barco. Mrs. Klingenberg. Roll call,
Okay,
please.
Mr. Fenn,
Yes.
Mr. Barco,
Yes.
Mr. Antel,
Yes.
Mr. Poliak,
Yes.
and Mrs. Miller.
yes,
Okay, thank you. Motion carried. We will now ask for a motion to adopt resolution 2020-11-47.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Okay, we have a
I'll
second.
second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this?
Daddy, what is this about?
I'm coming. I'm just doing too many things. This is your temporary appropriations for 2021 that we do every year. Once we get our certified funds from the county, I can take that and make a temporary appropriations so that we can open up our books, or we can't pay anything if we don't have temporary appropriations. So that's what this is all about. We do it every year. Any more questions, Bob? You okay?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Klingenberg. Anyone else have a question? Okay, if not, we had a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call.
Mr. Antel,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes,
Mr. Fenn,
Yes.
Mr. Poliak,
Yes.
and Mr. Barco.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries, becomes resolution 2020-11-47. We will move right on then into the mayor's report. Office is closed tomorrow. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. So we will not be open. And then the next time, of course, we're closed for Thanksgiving, which is in a couple weeks. I've chosen not to have the senior Thanksgiving dinner this year. In lieu of that, those who attended last year and that, I have their names and addresses, I'm sending them a Thanksgiving card from me and explaining why we're not doing that. So want to keep them safe. And as all of you know, if you listen to the news a little or a lot, you hear that numbers are up right now, and I don't want to take a chance, especially in our senior members, of getting them infected. So I'm not doing that. So let's see. Also, I've talked with the fire chief. Originally, we were going to proceed with the Santa delivery, but here again, with the fact of everything that's going on, we decided, we got the presents, they'd be handled by, people in that. We don't want to take the risk of spreading it to kids. So for this year, we're going to put the Santa delivery on hold. Okay. I have a letter from Lisa Pettit at the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And Lisa is letting us know that they're going to be sharpshooters on park property from the Wildlife Services Division of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And they will be reducing deer populations between November 16th, 2020 and March 31st, 2021. And that's about all we have with that. Okay. And we did the reworks already. And it was just, I have something from the engineer, but that's about the trail and how we're getting things ready to submit for the next OPWC letting. We may say more about that. Well, actually, Brian isn't going to join us tonight, so he's working on getting that put together for the second letting on the trail. So I'll just say that now, and we won't have to worry about that in the report. We'll move on to Mrs. Klingenberg's report.
I don't really have anything. On the bottom of your agenda and the reminders, those are dates that are very important because they're different than normal. The finance meeting is next week with an additional council meeting. December's council meeting is the 8th, and the finance and council meeting is the 15th. But I want to remind you, the organizational meeting is the January the 5th this coming year. And I sent to you all the committees and asked that you let the mayor know if you'd like to make any changes at all, to please make sure he knows pretty soon.
Okay, and next month I'll be appointing, there's a couple of seats on different committees that need to be filled, commissions, and so to speak, and park committee, thing like that. So we usually do that in December.
And if you don't remember, if you don't know, the fire levy did pass. And Akron Zoo levy also passed.
And the fire levy was 663 for, 223 against. Okay, we can move on to the Safety Committee, Valley Fire District, if there's a report.
Nothing really of significance from my side. Ron, anything?
No, they're playing with the new engine.
Right. I think they have a meeting tomorrow night at 5:30 at the station. I think it's a virtual one. I might look onto it. I don't know. All right. Roads Committee, Cemetery Trustees.
Not much really. It's all quiet.
Okay. Lands and Buildings.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay. And we may get together, Janet, and look at some things we're going to evaluate for next year that we may need to do some work on, like roofs or things like that we might want to repair. We're going to get, I'm actually getting some estimates on windows for the Village Hall. There's a possibility that we'll be able to get a grant from NOPEC to help cover that. So, because those of you who've been here when it's windy in the winter, you see the Venetian blinds move, so we know those windows probably leak a little bit. That could be some of our heat loss, and that probably would help out our heating bills. So, and maybe even air conditioning. Economic community development? Anything to report there?
No. Not yes and no. There's things, there's,
Okay. All right, Planning Commission, BZA.
There was some fireworks there. That was a big meeting. I think a lot of people attended. I appreciated seeing a lot of council come and support that night. The BZA met and met for request for use variance and variance of intensity of use and request for a variance on off-street parking for a delivery station in the on Heinzel Dean Memorial and Old 8, all of which were passed unanimously at the BZA. The Planning Commission met, and I think that there was a application for Cars Enterprises that was turned down. There was a request for approval of a site plan and new business for donor landscaping over on Chittenden, which was passed. And then there was a long invested conversation around the peer development for the delivery station that was the variances approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals. The peer development was there for a request for approval of a site plan for the delivery station. And as we can all count on, our members of the Planning Commission took their time and went through all the details and made sure that everything was properly vetted, and it was voted on unanimously passing. I believe that council's approval of legislation in support of this made a major difference in this. That was all appreciated to move this along. That is what happened, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Poliak.
Don, I got one question for you. At the last council meeting, you asked that all council members would attend this meeting at the Planning Commission BZA. I know I was there, but who else was there?
You know, Bob, I don't remember exactly who attended, but I felt like it
Yeah,
was
I think
very
Janet
well
was
attended.
there,
I was there.
and Mr. Ansell was there,
I was not there. I wasn't there.
and I don't know about Heather, I don't remember.
It
I'm just
was a little bit
asking.
tricky.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, it was very well attended, which I really appreciated, and I think it was important for the entire village. So, but
Because this
It
is
wa-
a very
it was well
important matter for the village.
Yep, it was well attended, and it's been, I think the really important thing for us all to take from it as well was that the council voted unanimously on this, the BZA as well, and the Planning Commission. It was a very strong support throughout the entire process, and
The
you know,
council voted unanimously for a truck depot or truck.
for the delivery station, yes, you voted affirmative as well.
Yes, you did at the last council meeting.
I'm asking.
It-
I never
yes,
voted for a trucking terminal, but
you definitely voted in support of this project.
The Pure Development Project.
Yeah, it was unanimous with council.
Was on the last meeting's agenda. It was, you voted unanimously in support. All 6 council members voted yes.
for what?
For the development. Yeah, council, BZA, and Planning Commission all vetted this project together, and it was strongly supported within all 3 layers of our local government.
What did I vote on?
You don't know,
I never
Mr.
voted
Barco?
on a truck terminal.
Mr. Barco,
I'm
respectfully,
asking you. All right, Marshall,
Yeah.
tell me.
yeah, respectfully, I mean, it was a resolution and everybody voted. It was the resolution in the last council meeting.
Okay,
it was
what
a-
was the resolution number?
I don't have that.
Let me get the minutes.
Here, I'll pull it because we just approved the minutes as well, and it was unanimously approved in this council to approve on the
Okay,
minutes as
what
well.
was the resolution number? Because people are beating me over the head.
Okay, I'll tell you. It was ordinance 2020-10-25.
Resolution?
Is it a resolution or an
Oh, I'm
ordinance?
sorry. Let's see.
Resolution.
I'm wrong on that one.
Mhm.
44? Is it a resolution?
It's 2010-45, a resolution supporting the passage
Right.
Pure Development's variance and Planning Commission application declaring an emergency, and it was passed unanimously and adopted.
1027,
Passed unanimously.
right?
1027, correct.
1027. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong set of minutes.
It's
Sorry about
resolution 1027?
On
Oh,
October-
that was the date. The date
That's
was
the date.
1027.
Okay, what's the resolution number?
45. 1045.
I'm sorry, Don, what was it?
2020-10-45.
4-5.
And I voted for that.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Everybody voted for it.
Right, 6-0.
Okay, but it's resolution 2010-45.
No,
2020-10-45.
All right, okay.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions before we move on? Okay. Seeing none then, the next item is old business. Anyone have any items for that? Then Betty already went over the reminder dates, so keep those handy. So if they're not in your calendar, you can get those in. But of course, with the Zoom meetings, they're pretty helpful. They come out to you the day or so before and you have them, so. Okay, anything for new business?
I got one question. I'm asking Marshall. A resident asked me, he sent the mayor like 4 emails. Does the mayor have a responsibility to read his emails at a council meeting? I'm asking you, Marshall.
no, the mayor gets to decide what he discusses at a council meeting and what correspondence he comments on.
Okay, so he decides. Even if a resident sends him an email.
Yeah, there's no legal requirement to do that.
Okay, all right, I'm just asking.
Mr. Mayor, I have something that I'd like to note for everyone in connection with COVID-19 that you may all remember back in March, the General Assembly passed House Bill 197. And given that today we had another record number of cases in Ohio of COVID, I think we were up over 6,000 some today. And relating to virtual meetings, House Bill 197 is the state law that allows us to meet in a virtual way, such as the Zoom meeting we have tonight. That bill by its terms expires on December 1st. And so unless the General Assembly takes action this month during lame duck, which will convene next week, House Bill 197 will expire, or at least the terms as it relates to virtual meetings will expire on December 1st. So our meetings as of right now in December will be in person.
Unless that's changed.
Unless House Bill 197 and the terms of that are extended. I would fully expect them to be extended. In fact, I would be shocked if they weren't extended. The governor has announced he has a 5:30 address, 5:30 afternoon tomorrow, a statewide address to discuss the current state of affairs, if you will, related to COVID-19. And so I would expect him at that point in time to call on the General Assembly to, extend the terms of COVID-19, and then whether he's going to be issuing new orders, remains to be seen. I don't know, but I just wanted to put that on everybody's calendar, so for any hearing that we might have, any committee meeting, for instance, the nuisance abatement board meeting is currently scheduled to be in person, not in a virtual fashion, because House Bill 197 has not yet been extended. So
Right.
That's what I have. I'm happy to answer any questions on that, but I just wanted to remind everyone of that.
What I'd like to,
I have a
what I'd like
question.
to add to that, Marshall, while we're still on the same topic. Summit County Council last night passed a resolution to send to the state asking that be extended. Don't know how long they asked for. I was supposed to get a copy of that we all could look at, and if we chose, each community chose they wanted to also send a letter to, or a legislation to Columbus in favor of extending the virtual meetings, we could do so. But I think as a mayor, I could send a letter if the general consensus is here that because of the rise that we appear to be having, and actually right now we have more people in the state that are infected with the COVID than we have had all year long.
I'll make a motion to support, Mayor, for you to write a letter to do that. I mean, we all serve the community up here, and for us to be able to do that with just a little bit of an elevated level of safety on being able to create these on videos, I would be in big support of that. So I would make a motion to support the administration to write a letter that advocates that they extend that ability for us to have these public meetings on video.
Okay. Do I have a second to
I'll
that?
second that. I'll
Thank you,
second.
Mr. Finn.
Okay,
Okay, so that will be done. I will send it to the governor's office.
you want me
Do
to?
you
gotta
need to
vote
take
on
a
it.
vote on that?
Paul?
It's a
Well,
motion?
we'll take a vote.
Yes, please.
Don Poliak,
Yes.
Ron Fenn,
Yes,
and Janet Miller,
Yes.
Bob Bartko.
Marshall, I got one question. Is if House Bill 197 isn't passed, then on the 1st of December, we would have in-person meetings? If House Bill 197 isn't passed,
extend.
House Bill 197 has to be passed.
It expires.
It expires.
It
on
expires.
December
It is
1st.
passed right now. We're
Right.
working under it.
So we're asking for an extension of,
Yeah, so starting on
Said
December
bill.
2nd, right? So starting on December 2nd, if House Bill 197 is not extended, then we would be required to, under state law, to meet in person.
Okay.
I'm,
So your vote is, Bob?
Yes, but I'm
Okay.
just asking because Hudson Council is voting is meeting in person already. Hudson Council is doing that. Aren't they, John?
I don't know. I don't believe so.
But, and Bob, if you
Well, I
recall,
read
a
it in
few
the
council
paper
meetings,
that Hudson Council is meeting in person already.
yeah, Hudson Council has a large room in that new $5 million town hall that they have that they can put people 30 feet apart if they needed to and get as many as they need in there. We do
That's
not
true.
have the space to do that, Bob.
There are communities in Summit County that are meeting in person or having some members attend in person and some attend virtually. But it all is a case-by-case decision, and it is primarily based, as the mayor points out, on space and the ability to put at a minimum of the government's requirement of 6 feet or more between individuals. And I think that we have figured out in Village Hall that if all of us attended, there wouldn't be room for the public anyway, right? In the hall, if you space everyone out at 6 feet, no one else could come into Village Hall anyway.
And of course, you can't have a public meeting without having the availability. So by having the Zoom meetings, Bob, we have the availability, people to call in and make their voice heard.
Okay.
Bob, would you
Just
be
hit-
kind enough to give me your vote of yes or no?
Yeah.
That yes, okay.
All right.
And then the Ron Antel,
Yes.
oh, thank you.
I have a question or a comment or a statement. I'm not quite sure which. It's kind of all the above. Have we been in touch with David Joyce concerning this?
Well, David Joyce is our federal representative, but I will be sending a letter to Bill Romer, District
Okay.
38. That's the district we're in. I will send it to Mr. Romer, I will send it to the governor, and I will send it to the legislature.
Okay.
Okay.
However, or whatever, that's fine.
Well,
I was just
Same
suggesting maybe send him a copy, just copy him on it. Just copy him on it and let him know that we, as our local jurisdiction, that you as Mayor Gonsi are supporting this at the state level. That I just think that's keeping it all.
Right,
I think it would be good for him to know that we're doing that
okay,
on a
Thank you,
federal.
Jan.
Does that make sense?
it does.
Keep him in the loop. I know you have a,
I fully intended on sending to Mr. Romer, yes.
okay.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
we have that motion done? Yes, Mr. Polyak.
this might be relevant, but member of the public put something in that's relevant to this conversation. If you would like to recognize it.
Well, since they didn't put it in earlier, I guess we can, sure.
Okay.
It's relevant to this.
Mr. Hinkle over on Boston Mills Road, he said that it was referenced in the Akron Beacon Journal that the Hudson Council is having their hearing on Airbnb restrictions via Zoom. So he was just doing a fact checking, and it sounds like Hudson Council is having meetings over Zoom, at least that meeting. So
So it may depend on which meeting it is. You know, if
Right.
they have a meeting with 3 or 4 people, it's not, overcrowded, they could do that. But to keep
Right.
all of you safe, it's, this has been working out and keeping everyone separated, so.
right.
Okay,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
all right. Do we have any need for an executive session? I know of no need. And seeing that, our last order of business is adjournment. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Antel. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. We stand adjourned at 7:41 PM.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank you.
great night.
Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe.
Good night.
Mayor, I'm
Be
gonna,
safe out there.
Mayor, hold
Bye,
on.
Betty.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
Mayor, I'm gonna put the I'm gonna give you back
The host back to me. Okay.
Yep.
Leaving meeting.